everyone. Welcome to INIT Talks show. Today we're having Saoirse Fitzpatrick with us to talk about sim racing, future plans, past achievements, and we're just going to have some fun. First of all, want to remind you that registration now open for Screen to Speed Full Cup, so you can take a part in the Sette Corsa Competizione and INA Racing as well. All information and registration form you can find on the screentospeed.com. So please don't forget about this. And tomorrow we're going to have a USEFGG qualifying race. It's going to happen this Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We will go live on INIT Sports, so right here. So welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time
Yeah,
to chat with me today. Yeah,
thank you for
hi.
having me.
Um, Thank you for your time once again. And so let's start with how did you first get into sim racing, and how was it for you?
I first got into sim racing, I think it's probably 7 years ago, which is kind of crazy how time flies. But I got into sim racing kind of because I was getting back into motorsports around that time. And I had always been like really big into just video games in general. So I started playing racing games more and kind of getting into like the YouTube space around racing games. And that slowly kind of led into sim racing games. So I would have started on like the Formula One games that Codemasters put out, playing on just like a PlayStation 3 controller or whatever I happened to have. I don't really remember. And slowly over time, I got more and more into the games and more into like different sim games and simcade games, like the Dirt Rally games and that. So I eventually moved on to a Logitech G29, and eventually, I think when I hit like 17 and finally got a part time job and had like my own money to spend, I got iRacing, and it's sort of been history from there, I suppose.
Hmm. So what is your sim of choice? That'll be iRacing, definitely, right?
My sim of choice is definitely iRacing. I've never been very much good at any of the other sims, really.
Hmm. Understand this. So tell us about your biggest achievement in sim racing.
I mean, by far and away, my biggest achievement is probably winning the original Screen to Speed event in Las Vegas. Just the kind of level of competition I was up against and the sort of stakes that were involved of the competition, as well as that really the amount of work that I put in to like get up to that level and consistently be at that level for like the qualifying and then the heat races and the feature race on the day. Like I think overall that is by far and away my biggest accomplishment in sim racing.
Hmm. That's great. So as I remember, you had offline event in Las Vegas. So can you tell me how was it? Was it hard for you to get used to the equipment which you use on offline location, and how did you um, like get used to it?
To be honest, I think I got really lucky that MJ, who I was paired with on my sim, like we both had surprisingly similar needs in terms of the rig setup, despite the fact that I think I'm like 6 or 7 inches taller than her. And just for some reason, we kind of got lucky in that we wanted exactly the same setup in the sim rig. Um, but in terms of like the pedals and the wheel, I had never used before. And I think we might have been using a right-handed shifter, but I don't remember. But
Hmm.
like overall, going into the heat races and going into qualifying, I wasn't feeling very confident at all because I was like a half a second off of my own like times when I was at home at my own rig. But for some reason, it seems that I accommodate like adapted to the equipment we were given a bit better than other people, given that I was able to perform so well and put it on pole for my heat race, as well as I think I put it on pole for my feature race as well. And obviously, I went on to win. Um, Really, I think it was just all seat time. I kind of look back on it and regret a little bit that I didn't like talk to people more. I was just so focused on winning. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, I think the sole focus on winning the event and just kind of like getting as much time driving on the rigs that we were given as much as possible. That was kind of my key to
Hmm.
adapting.
Yeah, do you feel nervous? Yeah, also an event has a lot of people around you, a lot of new
Mhm.
stuff as well, and yeah, I think you get nervous about this as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, going in, I wasn't really entirely convinced I would win, so I was sort of like, if I win, I'll be like ecstatic, but like I want to go and I want to have a fun time and like give it my all for trying to win. Um, but like for the feature race, like starting on pole, I was like I think probably the most nervous I've ever felt in my life. And then especially like for the full race. I think after the race I said it was like the like most stressful 20 minutes of my life or something. And honestly it probably still was the most stressful 20 minutes of my entire life. Just because like I didn't really have any let up. I had Emily Howe right behind me the whole time, ready to like pick up the scraps if I made a mistake. So like, yeah, I was incredibly nervous.
So understandable. Also, I race in some uh, offline events with a
Mhm.
new equipment, which is absolutely different from what I used to race with at my home. And yeah, that's always stressful. You usually like losing around 5, 6, 10, something like this to your own time. And
Mhm.
also you got like a lot of people around you, so yeah, fully understand you that you get nervous in this event. And so moving on, so as we're talking about this Las Vegas event, so you get opportunity to jump into Porsche Cup GT3, right? And want to ask you, how do you prepare for the testing? Like, did you try Porsche Cup in iRacing also? And how is it compared to in real life one? So is it really close or like not really? So can you tell us more about this?
Um, I think in preparation, I did take the Porsche Cup around the track in iRacing, just to kind of get a feeling for it, like how it would differ from the stock car, given that like the NASCAR Next Gen and a GT3 car, in terms of like rear wheel drive, like sports cars as such, they couldn't really get more different. Um, and I think from what I remember, because it's been a while since I've driven the Porsche Cup, it's not my personal favorite car. Um, if from what I remember, they felt very similar between like iRacing and real life. But it was really funny to finally get to kind of understand what people mean when they say that like on the limit, the tire model in iRacing feels a bit strange and a bit different to real life, because there were a few moments in real life where I almost did lose the rear and I was able to catch it. And
Hmm.
if I had done the exact same thing in iRacing, I maybe would have looped it. But like they were surprisingly similar, in a way that was like, as soon as I got out of the pits and started like going around the track, I was like, oh, this is the exact same as iRacing. I don't need to be nervous.
Hmm. So we got a quote when you won the event. You just tell that you never drove the car in real life, like you never drove it on road as well. So well,
Mhm.
like we're not talking about racing here.
Yeah.
So you never been
Uh,
on behind the wheel yet.
um, I think I may have since then for like 5 minutes in a car park.
Hmm.
But I still don't have a driver's license. I have a motorcycle license. I ride a motorcycle as my day to
Hmm.
day. Which obviously is completely different to a car. Um, but no, I still don't have a car license. I have a motorsport license for to race in Ireland. So I've driven again on a racetrack, but never on public roads.
Hmm. Got it. So about Porsche. Um, Like, how was it for you to finally drive the racing car on the racing track? How does
Mhm.
it feel for you? Like for the first time to be behind the wheel, of course.
To be honest, when they put me in the driver's seat of the Cayman GT4 that they gave me to like go around and get my bearings with, I was so nervous. I was absolutely terrified of somehow breaking the car. especially in the pit lane, because I think that's what scares me so much about driving on public roads is because like driving slowly in a car feels very different to driving fast in a car. And obviously, as a sim racer, I'm used to driving a car as fast as like you possibly can. And I'm used
Hmm.
to how that feels. So as soon as I got up to speed in the Cayman, like as soon as I started taking corners at speed, I was like, oh, this is just like sim racing. It feels almost exactly the same, except like now there's like the G forces and stuff.
Hmm.
So as soon as I kind of like got the feeling of, oh no, this is like basically the same principle anyway as sim racing, like I was off to the races, so to say. I was like feeling pretty confident in my ability to control the car. Um,
Hmm.
and just because of my sim racing experience, I didn't really feel that nervous like once I got up to speed.
Yeah. So what about the feeling of the speed? Because some people who's come in first time in sim racing and they never try in real life racing. They always telling you like all cars seem so slow on the like in a racing and it feels weird. So what do you think about this? Because my personal opinion about this that I had some races in real life and in a racing it feels almost the same as in real life. So when you get used to speed, you feels
Hmm.
like it's you're not going so fast anymore. It's really
Yeah.
weird feeling, but when you get used to the things, it's how it is for you. So can you
Hmm.
tell me more about this?
I feel like um, it's kind of similar. Like for me anyway, I don't have three monitors. I only have like one 17-inch monitor, so I don't have like the peripheral vision and like the kind of what kind of creates the sense of speed of like everything going past you super fast. I'm just like looking straight forward. So I don't really get the sense of speed quite as much. So definitely the real car felt faster. But I feel like the familiarity that I had with the track at that point, like it felt about the same. Though obviously the Porsche Cup was able to take the corners quite a bit quicker than the Mustang.
Hmm. So we got question in chat about what
Oh.
was the races which you did in Ireland. So you mentioned that before.
No, I haven't gone racing yet because going racing is really,
Hmm.
really expensive. But I did a basically just a license test to get a motorsports racing license in Ireland with the
Hmm.
Motorsports Ireland. And it was basically just a theory test, and then they put me in, I think, a Mazda 3. It might have been a Mazda
Hmm.
2. And basically we're like, okay, can you get this thing around the track safely? If so, cool. You get your license. And
It's
like
nice.
I had never driven a manual before, so I put it in third and I didn't leave third, even though like realistically some of the corners are second gear corners in that car.
Hmm. That's
Mm.
great. So, as I know, you're part of Prismatic Motorsports, and can you tell me about your team and how your team also help you to develop and to improve in sim racing?
Mhm. Well, Prismatic is obviously, as a lot of people, but not everyone will know, kind of the primary marquee transgender sim racing team. We're like run entirely by transgender people. All of our drivers are transgender, and we aim to kind of like both empower other trans people to like take up space between in like a space that is like incredibly male dominated, as is like kind of also the point of Screen to Speed, to like create a space for women in motorsports and in sim racing specifically. But with Prismatic, we aim to do that with trans people as other marginalized group. Um, as a team, we do primarily endurance events, so we will be known for doing stuff like the Zolder 23 hour. We've done that 2 years in a row. We hope to do that again this year. We recently hosted the Race for a Cause 24, where we donated to the British Heart Foundation, doing a race at the Le Mans circuit for 24 hours. Though we can't call it the 24 hours of that track name, or else
Hmm.
they will get very annoyed with us. Um, as well as that, we've done things like the British F4 Esports series the past 2 years, and a number of other endurance racing series. And how they've personally helped me as a driver, they've like offered me, on one hand, like a support network of just friends, really, to kind of help and be there to give advice or encouragement for all the different things that I've pursued in sim racing, as well as giving me the opportunity to compete at a really, really high level, such as the British F4 Esports series, which I competed in as a reserve driver in the first season we did it, and a full time driver in the second.
Copy that. So do you like endurance events overall? Like, do you like to race in team racing? Because I think
Mhm.
it's completely different than when you're driving sprint races. So it's a completely different purpose of how you're driving, and so you work in of like saving the tires, saving the fuel. Also, you got some like team management and strategy as well. So, do you like more endurance events, or do you prefer sprint events where you driving alone?
I prefer sprint events because I don't have to think about
Mhm.
them that much. It's kind of just go fast all the time. Because I'm a notoriously terrible strategist. If it includes pit stops, I will not do it unless someone else is thinking about the pit stops for me. um, so with endurance racing, so long as somebody else is handling the strategy, I'll just go out there and drive the car. And then, like, in that situation, I much prefer endurance racing because I like to be able to drive with my friends and talk to my friends at the same time, and like have fun and have jokes and like all go insane
Mhm.
from sleep deprivation together. Um, it's always really fun. Well, not
So
always,
it is
but
like
most of the time, really fun.
so it is like management of the team, like count the fuel and also making the schedule and everything. Yeah, right.
hmm And like, so long as I can just, yeah, basically, if I can just get in the car and drive it, and then get out and go to sleep, and then come back and drive the car again, I'm happy.
Okay, I'm in the same way probably. So just really like when other person manage this, so I just can come here. They're going to tell me like you have to save that amount of fuel. I'm going to be all right. I'm going to save it and just yeah,
hmm
going to drive and enjoy to be in the
Yeah.
part of the team. So yeah, um, as I know, you're going to take a part in Sim Racing Expo, which is going to be
hmm
in Germany, and here's going to screen to speed event, like
hmm
a women event going to happen. How do you prepare for this? As I know, we're going to have a race in a racing with JAR
hmm
86. And you can remind me the other car which going to be also. So how do you prepare for this?
Um, I honestly I can't remember what the other car is off the top of my head, unfortunately, because I have another series that I'm doing prep work for at the moment.
Hmm.
But when it comes time closer to that event, I'll definitely be putting in like just lots and lots and lots of seat time. And especially if it's a car that I'm not familiar with, I'll probably go and do a load of official races, just to
Hmm.
get kind of familiar with how it races, like on track, you know.
Okay. Um, how much time do you spend usually for your practice? Like, um, let's separate the question to when you're familiar with the car. How much time do you need to like get used to it and to be fast with it? And how much time you also need if you're not familiar with car and that's new for you?
Um, I think if you put me in a car I know well and said, "Okay, Saoirse, we need you to hit this lap time on this track," I could probably, like, assuming it's like within the limits of my talent, I could probably do it within like 2 hours, maybe less,
Mhm.
depending on the track. If it's a car that I have never driven before, it's probably going to take 3, maybe 4. It could take even longer, depending on if I've like taken a long break away from sim racing or if it's just a completely different thing that I've ever driven.
Mhm.
Like if it's a dirt oval car for example, I rarely ever drive dirt oval, so it would take me like probably all week to get up to speed.
Mhm. So, what's your advice for new racing drivers in sim racing? So, what's your advice for them if they new in sim racing, how to get fast in sim racing?
Mhm. Definitely, I would say definitely. Honestly, I'm probably a terrible person to come to for advice, but my advice would definitely be don't worry about what equipment you have. Being like the guys that are up at the top level, they're not fast because they spent like 5,000 euro on their equipment. They're fast because they put the seat time in and because they have great coaches and they have great amounts of like natural talent as such. And like if you put in the time and if you've got like that bit of talent and if you can afford coaching, go for it. You know, I haven't been able to really. I've never done
Hmm.
coaching, but I'm absolutely certain that I would benefit from it. I would get faster. But like sim racing is just as much as any other skill, something that you need to practice and something that you need to think about. Um, Definitely learn about like how to set up a car, how to take different turns, and how to like figure out how to like plan your lines and that kind of thing, as well as like thinking about how what kind of car you're driving will affect how you're going to drive it. I have a bad habit of driving most cars mostly the same, um, in spite of the fact that that actually doesn't really work. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like it's a lot. That's a lot of kind of general advice, kind of broad advice, but yeah, I'd say honestly, mainly just have fun. Don't take it too seriously because when you take it too seriously, you're going to start to hate it, and that would really suck because sim racing is super fun when you just have fun.
Yeah, that's right. I absolutely agree with this. And also, in terms of coaching, if you can afford this, I think you can find a bunch of guides on YouTube with really fast lap times where you can
Mhm,
have a look on the reference lines and everything, which can make you faster 100%.
mhm.
So, yeah, what do you think about in real life racing? Like, do you have a dream to maybe one day jump into some kind of racing series in real life, or do you want to stick with the sim racing?
As much as I would love to go real life racing, I don't think it's going to happen. Definitely not car racing anyway. I
Hmm.
would like to give motorcycle racing a try purely because it would be a bit cheaper and like things like a full leather race suit I could wear on my street bike and wear on the street, or like a race helmet I could wear on the street, where on the flip
Hmm.
side, like all of the kit that you need for car racing you can't really use outside of that context. So like motorcycle racing in terms of real life racing I would love to try, but for car racing, it will probably, unfortunately, stay sim racing just because of cost.
Hmm. But what if maybe some kind of sponsor going to come to you? Like, are you ready to race in car racing in real life?
I would need to go get my license renewed, but otherwise, yes.
Okay,
Like,
sounds
I
good.
feel like I could probably do with being fitter, but I mean, I'm
Hmm.
constantly working on that anyway. So,
Yeah, what's your favorite type of racing in real life? Is it GT3s, maybe Porsche Cup, maybe Formulas? What do you prefer?
my favorite to watch, honestly, is probably NASCAR. Just in
Hmm.
general, because I don't know. I think just the closeness of the racing, and like the way they've got like the formula that they kind of have for the cars, it
Hmm.
works. It works. It produces really good racing. Sometimes a guy that has been nowhere all season is just really fast on some random Sunday, and he might just win. And that's really fun. Which isn't to say anything against F1. Just I personally prefer NASCAR at the moment.
Hmm. I understand. NASCAR is like so exciting, and
Mm,
also in the same way for viewers, as you on a big stadium with all these ovals, you're really close to the cars also, and
mhm,
see them for like 100 plus laps. It's incredible. And I noticed the same thing in the INISCAR series, which we got running in iRacing.
Mhm.
Absolutely different results. So if it's road track, someone from the middle of the field can win this, and uh, different ovals, different winners, different like top 10. It's always so exciting to watch and to
Mhm.
see how people perform, because they all on really high level, and like anyone can win anytime. That's great about NASCAR.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what would you like to achieve in sim racing in the future? So what's your plan? Maybe you dreaming about 10K rating or something like this. Maybe you dream to be a part of some esport team, like big one, like Williams Esport or something like this.
To be honest, for the last while, I haven't had any major dreams in sim racing.
Hmm.
Just the last year, I've been focusing on finishing my degree, and since then, I've been
Hmm.
working quite a bit. So I haven't done a massive amount of sim racing. So, I mean, for the moment, 5K I rating would be a hell of an achievement for me. I've been at 3K for years, so to get
Hmm.
above that would be incredible. I think as well, hopefully, to run some more high level series, and get some like really good results in those series. And I'd love to compete in some more iRacing special events. Like I did the Daytona
Hmm.
24 this year. I'd love to do the Daytona 24 again next year. I've been meaning to do the Snowball Derby for a couple of years now, so hopefully this year I'll actually finally get around to it. The Snowball Derby is the Winter Derby is what it's called on iRacing. It's the Snowball Derby in real life. It's
Hmm.
super late models at Five Flags for 500 laps. And
Hmm.
I really like the super late model, and I really like Five Flags. So I would love to go and do that. Hopefully, win it. I mean, a top five just to finish, that would be sick. Just in general, kind of my main goals in sim racing at the moment are to keep competing at a high level and primarily just have fun. Because there was a while where I was super focused on like getting really, really, really good and really, really, really fast that I sort
Hmm.
of lost the love of it a bit as well, and it sort of felt like a job that I didn't want to do rather than like a hobby that I love.
Yeah, I understand this. So when you really focused and all the time racing, so you can feel like this. I think it's absolutely fine. So yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
good if you just going to have fun and enjoy some racing, and do competitive racing, as
Mm-hmm.
always. Um, so what do you think about ovals? Do you do any ovals in iRacing? Do you like them?
Yeah, I do. I actually love oval racing and iRacing. It's sort of the one discipline where like I actually really, really enjoy a strategy race because I can sort of do this. You can sort of do the strategy in your head, and like to some extent, like if you're late in the fuel run, a yellow comes out, everyone's gonna pit, so you might as well just pit as well. You know, at that
Hmm.
point, it's just up to skill who wins. Um, but I do really enjoy it because I really like driving a car off the throttle, like with my right foot. So with a like high powered car with some side force on a big oval, you can slide the rear out a little bit, and I just that's so much fun to me.
Yeah. So what's your favorite oval track in iRacing?
Ooh, um, like my actual favorite is probably either Iowa or Chicagoland. But my
Hmm.
like jokey favorite is Oxford Plains.
Hmm. So why do you like these tracks?
Iowa honestly is just it's just great. It's really fun. There's a couple of different lines that you can run through every corner and be really fast. Like for a 3/4 mile track, it's like super fast and it doesn't really feel like a short track. It almost feels like an
Hmm.
intermediate track, but just tiny. It's super unique. It's really fun. Chicagoland, I really like because I happen to be good there. For some reason, I'm
Hmm.
just good at Chicagoland. I don't know why. I think like last year it had been a year since I'd done an official uh, oval race, and I just hopped into the Xfinity car at Chicagoland and I got a win out of nowhere,
Hmm.
just on strategy. But Oxford Plains, I say mostly because it's a silly little 2/10 of a mile flat track where like it really just absolutely punishes your right shoulder because you're just turning left constantly for like 50,
Hmm.
60, 70, 100 laps. It's kind of terrible by the end because you're like your shoulder is killing you, but it's so fun. It's so silly.
Yeah. So the favorite series will be Xfinity or something else? Like favorite car?
Um, my favorite car class is definitely the touring cars. I'm also sort of
Hmm.
like infamous for this of being like one of the few people that like
Hmm.
really, really, really loves the front wheel drive cars in iRacing. Which is sort of antithetical to what I prefer a car to drive like. I tend to prefer a car that's like kind of loose on throttle, where the
Hmm.
touring cars obviously they're front wheel drive. You like put your right foot down, you're just gonna go straight. You're not gonna turn.
Hmm.
Um, just for whatever reason, I just really love them. And I think honestly, if you're only ever driving like GT cars, like rear wheel drive and like traction control and ABS and all that, whatever, buy one of the touring cars and try and go fast in it because it will teach you something about how to drive a sports car and you
Hmm.
will be faster when you go back to them. I'm 100% convinced of this.
Yeah. So returning back a little bit to ovals. So what's the favorite car in ovals?
Oh,
That'll be
my favorite
Xfinity, maybe
oval
next
car.
gen for you. Yeah.
It's probably the Xfinity. It might be the Gen 4, but it's probably the Xfinity.
Hmm. I think Gen 4 just really crazy races all the time. So you jump in and people sliding all the time around you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really fun. But Xfinity overall, for me, is the safest and the series where you can
Mhm.
gain a rating actually, because people usually driving pretty safe and fast and
Mhm.
they more careful overall than in any other oval series which we got in a racing. But yeah, I think the craziest one Gen 4 will be for me as well.
Yeah. I actually would be inclined to agree. I think people that drive Xfinity are generally the most sensible and kind of understand the limits of the car a bit
Hmm.
better. Um, I mean, it's been a while since I've done a next gen oval race, but I swore myself off of the truck series like years ago. I haven't touched it since. Um, I imagine it's
Hmm.
probably still constant wreckfests, like it was when I swore myself off it.
All right, so can you tell me, as you're living in the UK, you got a lot of cool racing tracks right there. Do you like to go for some racing events here to watch, maybe with your friends or on your own? Do you like this?
I actually live in Ireland, so this is
Yeah,
like
is it
hilariously an
far away?
unintentional. Yeah, like I live in Ireland. I don't live in the UK. The only tracks we have here
Yeah,
are
okay,
like
okay, yeah.
Rondello and Kirkustown.
Hmm.
So like I would have to get the ferry over to the UK to go to any of the
Oh,
tracks.
copy that. Hmm.
Yeah.
So it's far away from
But
you, understand?
yeah, it's fairly far, yeah.
Hmm. Okay. All right, so we talk about the like what would you like to achieve in sim racing and yeah, in racing as well.
Mhm.
Um, so maybe Chad got some questions for you. We can also talk about them.
Mhm.
Want to ask you about Assetto Corsa Competizione. So did you try it and
Mhm.
how do you feel about this? And maybe do you plan any events in this simulator or not?
I do try it every now and again, and every time I try it, I don't really like it. But
Hmm.
that's mostly because I don't really like driving cars with ABS. And I think I remember being told one time that you kind of have to use the ABS in ACC to be quick.
Hmm.
And like every time I try to use the ABS, I don't like how it feels. So that sort of pushes me away from ACC a little bit. But like otherwise, I think as a sim, actually, it's really quite good. I think I probably just need to accept that I might not be fast not using the ABS quite as much and just don't use the ABS.
Hmm. Yeah, I think that I'm feeling weird in ACC as well. So when I jump for my racing in ACC, I need like a lot of time to get used to the cars. Even
Mhm.
I'm quite good in GT freeze in a racing. It's always always I'm having issues with ACC. I don't know why. So maybe that because of this ABS system, so just set up in different way compared to a racing or something. But I would
Yeah.
like to tell you that I really enjoy GT4 in the rain in the Sede Corsa Competizione. So we had,
Okay.
I think, Alpine Sport event, and we've been racing Spa with GT4s. That was a
Ooh,
lot of fun. So I really enjoy that. Yeah,
okay.
if you will have opportunity to jump in ACC, maybe GT4s, you're going to like them, and also racing in rain in ACC. I think absolutely amazing.
Yeah, you actually have just reminded me that the I think it was the Janetta GT4. I think I tried that one time and I thought it was so much
Hmm.
fun. Because if I remember, the Janetta just tries to kill you all the time, and it's hilarious.
Hmm.
It's like when you think about it, it's hilarious, and then when you're driving, it's really really fun to be like kind of constantly fighting the car. It might not be fast, but it's really enjoyable. So
Hmm.
I'll definitely have to try it in the rain.
Yeah, definitely. So speaking about rain, how do you feel in iRacing? Did you try rain in iRacing?
I've tried a little. I've tried it a little bit. It's interesting. Um, it's like the funny thing is, like obviously my only experience of driving in real life in the rain is on my motorcycle. But what I find really funny is how similar it actually feels.
Hmm.
Like riding a motorcycle in the rain versus driving a race car and iRacing in the rain. It's like
I think
I don't know.
I
There's
think
like a
you
weird.
experienced the. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. I just wanted to tell that actually you've been experiencing the aquaplaning in real life as well with a motorcycle, and you can feel the same in iRacing, and it's
Well, not
great.
so much aquaplaning because I think if I had
Hmm.
aquaplaned on my bike, I would have crashed. But sort of the way that it deadens the feedback a little bit, if that makes
Hmm.
sense, like sort of like what you feel on the wheel,
Yeah, I
like what you feel
understand.
on the bars, sort of gets muted a little bit in the rain, and that's kind
Hmm.
of it's similar in that way. That and like as well as like all of the kind of things that you then need to think about like painted lines and like manhole covers and that kind of thing.
Hmm. So do you like to race in rain overall?
Yeah, I actually do. Driving in the rain is a really, really fun challenge in iRacing. Because like it's completely different from driving in the dry, and like obviously then all of your lines have to change, and you have to think
Hmm.
about like, okay, is there a dry like has there been rubber put down on the track, and then where is the rubber? When am I going to be coming across it? And my like when you're putting down the throttle, when you're putting on the brake. So it becomes a lot more of like you have to think about everything a lot more rather than
Hmm.
like in the dry where you can maybe it's just me sort of just turn your brain off and just go like drive around.
Okay, so we got a few questions from the chat. So
Ooh.
everybody just whole stream asking what's happening tomorrow, but you're probably not going to say because here's also a message that Prismatic Motorsport going to post something tomorrow. So is it some kind of secret that you got?
I cannot say. You're just gonna have
Okay.
to pay attention to our social media tomorrow.
Okay, guys. So we just have a look on the social media of the Prismatic Motorsports. Going to have a look here.
Hmm.
And so what else we got? Yeah, so just Yuan post all links for Prismatic Motorsports. So guys, if you want to keep up to date, please follow them on Instagram, on Twitter as well, and have a
Yeah.
look tomorrow. So something interesting going to happen, seems like.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you planning to take a part in Screen to Speed Fall Cup or not?
I'll have to see. The only reason I haven't taken part in the last few of the seasonal cups is just because it hasn't like it's conflicted with my work schedule in some way, or
Hmm.
just like something else that I'm doing with my life. So it just hasn't been convenient. But if it doesn't conflict with anything, I think I will. Just because I haven't been doing a lot of sim racing in the last like month or two, and I want to get back into it.
Hmm. Got it. Okay, so guys, don't forget that you can register for Screen to Speed Fall Cup. It's going to take part in a racing in the Sette Corsa Competizione as well. And tomorrow on INIT Sport, we're going to have a broadcast of USEF GG qualifying race. So please have a look here. So yeah, I think I'm just out of questions. You just answer on everything really fast. It's really cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I
I think.
mean, I feel like I've gotten sort of both a good and a bad interview style of like I'll answer a question concisely, because I'm used to like
Hmm.
a broadcast interview rather than a sit down sort of interview where we can kind of take time.
Understand this. So I think that we already asked everything about you,
Hmm.
about like your future in sim racing and racing, and also your experience on the Las Vegas event and everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, once again, thank you so much for taking your time to talking with me. And yeah, so just good luck in your sim racing, and maybe you got something to say to everybody, like who really want to be in sim racing, like just maybe like a motto which you want to say to everybody.
Um, I mean, I guess if you're into sim racing, you want to get into sim racing, my main thing to say is just do it. Don't care about what people say. Don't care about what people say about what sim you drive. Just pick a sim based on your interests. Honestly, iRacing are not going to like me for this, but don't go for iRacing as your first sim. Get something that you can just buy it and you have it and you can just play it
Mhm.
whenever the heck you want to. You don't have to think about your subscription. You don't need to buy extra content. So like ACC is a great option for that. The original Assetto Corsa or Factor 2, Project Cars 2, all of the others that I'm forgetting, like Automobilista. There's so many different sim
Mhm.
games. You don't even need a bit like a wheel and pedals. You don't need like a big rig, like I've got thanks to Screen Speed. Like I qualified for Screen Speed with a wheel clamped to my desk and a set of pedals underneath the desk, held in place by two planks of wood. Like genuinely you can make whatever work. It may not be super comfortable, but like
Mhm.
it can still be really fun and you can be quick on it. You know, even if it's just controller and the F1 games, like they're like simcade games, but like whatever, you're still sort of you're still a sim racer. You know, that's what matters. What matters is that you have fun.
Mhm.
So just do it.
Yeah, I think that many people just too focus on their equipment, and also here's in the internet a lot of advices that you have to go to direct drive wheel
Hmm.
instantly when you jump into some racing, and that's not the right thing, definitely. So
Hmm.
when people come to my streams, I also tell them like you have to try with whatever you got right now. Like you got T150, okay, you got controller, okay, you just have to jump and try it. Then, if you like it, you of
Hmm.
course can upgrade your equipment and move to iRacing. Also, because iRacing for some people definitely expensive, and it's
Hmm.
better to start with ACC or maybe something like this. So yeah, I
Hmm.
agree with you about this.
Sweet.
That's really good advice. So yeah, have a good day. Thank you so much for talking with me. Thank you so much for
Thank you.
taking the time, and have a great evening.
Yeah, you too. Have a great evening. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye bye, guys. Thank you so much for watching the stream.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.